It's Terry, baby.
To be fair, the animation on him is like he moves exactly like he moves in real life.
Yeah, I feel like they spent too much money.
Yeah, on the destruction. They poured all the money into the destruction.
They had like a savings jar and said Cloud, and they'd scribbled out and wrote Terry. It's all the Cloud budget's gone on the Terry budget.
Crackdown 3 is an action-adventure video game, so it says on Wikipedia, but that's only a very small part of the story. My name's Mike Williams, and these guys are Jake Lukowski and Liam McKelvey.
Hello. We've both got strepsils. Do we need to say that? Just in case, because it's an audio only, isn't it?
Yeah, if you hear any weird, gross sort of mouth noises, it's all...
like clacking around.
Yeah, it's all these guys, it's not me. You both have played this to varying degrees. I've played a tiny amount, so I've not really got any right to say anything about it. But Liam, you finished the campaign.
I did, yeah.
And you've played a bit of the multiplayer.
Yeah, not much in the multiplayer, only a couple matches.
Yeah. And Jake, you've done...
about 6 hours of a game which is supposedly 8 to 10 hours.
Yeah.
About 1.5 hours of that was the Wrecking Zone multiplayer. Yeah.
So this is a long-awaited Xbox One exclusive. It's a first-party job sort of thing from Windows. From Microsoft.
From Bill Gates.
You know, from Bill Gates. But this is Bill Gates' lads putting a game out. And it's a sequel to, I would say, pretty popular games from the 360 era.
Yeah, Crackdown 2 was big on the 360.
And you know, it was sort of part of the Xbox brand in a quite a big way, not to the degree of like Halo, but it was, you know, it was a
it had
reason.
Enough fans, didn't it?
It did. Yeah, it was a reason to play the Xbox for sure, and it was, you know, a big sort of game about collecting stuff and blowing stuff up and throwing cars around, and then also for some reason driving the cars if you wanted to, but I don't understand why, because you could run really fast and jump and stuff. But anyway, so this is the really long-awaited sequel. It was announced about 5 years ago, 2014 I think it was first announced, and things have changed quite a bit in terms of mainly the destructibility and stuff.
Yeah,
it's been one of those, I hesitate to use the phrase development hell because it's a boring phrase that gets used all the time, but it hasn't had a smooth sort of ride to release. I think it's fair to say
it's been like delayed and pushed back so much so that it's almost a meme. It was almost Kingdom Hearts 3. I mean, people would believe it when they saw it, sort of thing.
When we say delays, it is a matter of years. You know, it was like 2016, I think, was the initial sort of window. You can expect this soon, and here we are in 2019, finally playing it.
Yeah, it's just some sort of like, I don't know, unusual lack of fanfare from everybody involved, like the developers and everybody. You know, I thought there'd be a huge marketing push for this massively, anticipated game. You know, yeah, you were right about the. Not development hell, but there's obviously been some changes. So, most notably, the cloud-based system.
Yeah, well,
just all the hotness back in 2015.
Well, it was what Microsoft was sort of really riding hard on with the Xbox. They were really trying to promote the cloud aspect of it, and all the negative stuff that was circling the Xbox One when it was first announced, like DRM and stuff like that, and all the bad stuff that you heard about it. The cloud computing was their big argument. Cloud computing, the idea that you're not just using the underpowered Xbox One. Crackdown 3 was supposed to be like the case in point. This is the game that really utilizes it, and it's this spectacular looking destruction, like entire skyscrapers coming down, and we're not talking like pre-rendered like Battlefield 3, that level that had that multiplayer map on Battlefield 3 where the big skyscraper came down. If you just this is like every skyscraper was supposed to be sort of
and just like real life, like
really
because
dynamic.
It was all physical. It had to have like a steel beam running through it and stuff like that. And it couldn't have been possible without the cloud. There's actually a very like in-depth development sort of video from 2015 where they were showing it off, like literally showing the guy shooting a circle into a wall, and in the middle of that falls out, as you can imagine.
Yeah, really sort of realistically and fluidly. Yeah. Anyway,
so in 2019. This day and age,
that is not the case.
So
I guess. Yeah. So the development sort of team has changed a lot. There was a company called CloudGene or Cloud. I don't know if I'm saying that right. But
CloudGene.
Let's go with that. And they were involved, but they're sort of not anymore. The development has been led by Sumo Digital, so they kind of did the campaign. Yeah. And then the multiplayer is been handled by another studio, and the campaign doesn't have all of the destructible spectacularity, which is a word I've just used,
Yeah.
that is in the multiplayer, but the multiplayer's destructibility isn't
all that spectacular.
To be honest, it doesn't look a million miles away from what we've seen in sort of Red Faction Guerrilla from like 10 years ago or whatever.
It's a technology that I see in early access stuff, things flopping out of buildings and stuff like that. It's very much...
what games have you been playing?
They're all banned on Steam, aren't they? But, it's just a very weird... Like, obviously, the graphics are cel-shaded, but the Wrecking Zone map is very unusual. It's got, like, an odd mishmash of, like, almost like wireframe... looking, it looks like something you'd see in Unity.
It looks like if anyone who played Radical Heights, which is unbelievably the second time that game has been mentioned on this channel in the last week or so. But if anyone played Radical Heights, the battle royale game from Cliff Blazinski's old studio before it closed, all of the interiors had this flat grey toolkit geometry sort of stuff that needed textures.
Yeah, straight out of the Unity store or something like that. Yeah,
and because that game has been developed in 4 months.
It was like the death knell of Bosky Studios after Lawbreakers.
Yes, to put it quite dramatically. That's true. It was. But that's kind of what it looks like, the multiplayer map, right? It's got a lot of neon and stuff.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of grey.
Yeah, it's not like the Crackdown world, which, Liam, you've obviously spent a lot more time in. Did you play much of the Wrecking Zone map? Well, did you play enough of the Wrecking Zone mode to kind of realise it's a different developer and it looks dead different? Like, did you feel like it was just two separate, weird, disjointed modes, or did it feel fluid like the campaign and the multiplayer to you?
It definitely felt very disjointed, because when you even download the game, it downloads the campaign, and then Wrecking Zone is like their own separate files.
It's like a separate game, isn't it?
Yeah. It is like a separate game, yeah. And so when you boot up Wrecking Zone, the first thing I noticed was it controls a bit differently to the campaign. Performance-wise, it's not nearly as smooth as the campaign was. Yeah. It's very choppy, Wrecking Zone. And it was just something that feels not finished to the Wrecking Zone mode, is the best way to describe it.
And very much looks that way.
Yeah.
If it was taking part in an area of the city that the campaign takes place in or something like that, like you'd imagine, like every other bolted on multiplayer experience, it's often a single player portion of the game repurposed to sort of host multiple players in, right? This is kind of, I suppose you could call it a bespoke job, to varying degrees.
You could,
of
but should you?
Yeah. I found it quite a tedious time on it. I was using the pistol, right, the bare bones pistol. I had
first weapon you get.
The first weapon you get. Everyone was dashing about trying to use rocket launchers, and I won every game I played. I was an MVP for every game I played because I wasn't playing it how they wanted me to play it, zipping around. I was just finding somebody, locking onto them, shooting them with the worst weapon, well, quote unquote worst weapon, and
that was the least glamorous.
I got absolutely nothing from it. Absolutely no buzz. I was top every time I played it. I thought, I'm off. No thrill. You know what I mean?
But you're playing it at the same time as you're playing Apex Legends, which is like this electrifying sort of fucking
which is
really
the real crack.
Slick,
Yeah.
exactly, from multiplayer experts.
Yeah.
And then you're coming out of that to play something which is not that.
I can't explain it. Playing an online game, you have a lot of fun by competing with other players. That's the whole point of it, isn't it? And or playing with friends. I was playing it by myself. So the only reason I had to play it was to try and do well. And I was doing well. I was doing the best I could have done. I gained nothing from it. But hey, doesn't matter, does it? Because we've got this campaign that's been going on for years and years and years.
So Liam, you finished this in like what felt like record time, because no sooner had you said, "Hey lads, I'm checking out that new Crackdown game."
That was yesterday.
Yeah, and then the next, less than 24 hours later.
It really didn't feel like I'd played it for that long before it was over.
And yet here you are, having finished it.
Yeah, I've finished it somehow.
I heard it was 8 to 10 hours from other people saying that, but that 8 to 10 normal people hours is like 6 Liam hours.
Yeah, I mean, I've played an absolutely minuscule amount, but it feels quite if you really like Crackdown 1 and 2 and you were absolutely gagging for more Crackdown 1 and 2, that's basically the only crowd that's really going to get stuff out of it.
I think people who played Crackdown 2 were cryogenically frozen, woke up and didn't realise there's been any advancements in gaming technology at all. Would have gone, this is a worthy successor.
If you've not played another open world game since Crackdown 2.
Another game.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because all games are open world games.
That's probably the best way to describe it. It feels like a game from an era long gone.
Yeah,
sort of thing.
If somebody said that we dug this up, we found this game from 2008, and here it is, everyone would be like, "Ooh, it has some interesting things."
Yeah.
But now,
I think when it doesn't have that big destructibility that you were sort of looking at, and that's what they were selling it on in the early days. Mm-hmm. These days they're selling it on the fact that Terry Crews is in it, which is an excellent selling point. Let's not.
Yeah, sure thing.
It's
right.
Terry Crews. What a nice man to have involved in your game, and a big sort of shouty guy who doesn't take himself very seriously with loads of charisma.
And now a massive gun. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's all you need, isn't it?
Yeah, and he's saying funny things and stuff when you're playing. You can play as Terry. I mean, that is a big bullet point for a lot of people. You can play as Terry Crews in this game, okay? But then that is what they've really latched onto from a marketing standpoint, as opposed to look at all the destructibility and stuff, because it's not there. I don't know. I mean, so Liam, you haven't played the full story. I mean, what are your sort of, how could you possibly sum up what you feel about it now?
So, if you've played the first Crackdown game, which a lot of people did, because it did sell quite a lot on the 360 back in the day.
Yeah.
It's basically a shinier version of that. It follows...
Of exactly that,
it follows pretty much the same formula to a T. So you're going around this not big open world, but it's not too small either. And you're going around, you're blowing stuff up, you're destroying objectives, all in the pursuit of these lieutenants who you got to take down, a bit like Ghost Recon Wildlands style. So then, once you take all them down, you go get the big bad boss, collecting lots of orbs as you do in Crackdown to upgrade your abilities, and you got them all down the side of your screen, which you can rank them up, and that improves like your health, your agility, your strength, and all that.
Yeah.
So, and then you got like your rooftop races and all that. At the end of the day, it feels like kind of a very standard open world package.
I think another thing that's happened, that's worked against it is the fact that since Crackdown 1 and 2, we've had very, very similar games in the later Saints Row games and like Agents of Mayhem.
Yeah.
And so you've had games that have done the big high jump, explosive, colourful, open world city thing.
Yeah,
that's happened.
What's that one where you play that hooded guy and he throws cars about?
Prototype, but that's incredibly miserable though.
What about the other one where you play like a superhero guy? I think he also has a hood up.
Spider-Man.
Infamous,
that's the one.
Infamous is kind of halfway. Infamous is
a bit more superhero.
Yeah, it's Infamous. I would say is exactly halfway between Prototype and Crackdown.
Oh, okay.
Because in tone and everything,
it's not quite on the same level of over the topness.
Nah, but it does take itself a little bit seriously. But there are like colourful fun bits and bit. It's a type of game that has been done a lot in the last in the years since Crackdown 2. That's another issue. And then the fact that it hasn't got the destructibility is a huge thing. Clearly, development has been quite difficult for whatever reason. So this is where we are, and sort of. So Jake, you actually decided to stop playing it.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
You didn't like just.
No,
I
haven't played 6 hours because that's the most I could have fit in and then rocked up.
Yeah,
it's like the opposite. Like I didn't get anything out of it. So obviously all the sizzle reel trailery stuff shows Terry Crews zipping about and doing all this stuff. You start off actually like pretty weak. And then, that's one thing I do like about the game, actually. You get a constant sense of progression. You seem to always be unlocking something. Everything you unlock, double jump, zap dash.
I have to say that having played maybe 2 hours, right? Mm-hmm. I can feel immediately, I know what is going to improve, because I can't jump very high. I can't do that. And I know exactly how it's going to play out, because I've played that out so many times.
So you're
know
thinking,
exactly
why
how the
can't I
arc's
just
going to
skip to that bit?
Yeah, I can probably throw heavier things later on. I can throw them further. I can, exactly what's coming.
Yeah, it's predictable in that way. And I found that the checklist here is so obvious.
Yeah.
Like some people, some games, should I say, are really good at masking that and make you feel like you're not just checking stuff off a box. Like Horizon Zero Dawn, loads of check boxes in there, but it really does make it feel quite nice with those specific bandit camps and stuff
the world
like
is
that.
The world is so interesting and stuff.
The towers that you climb are actually giant like robot giraffe things or whatever. So interesting. Crackdown. No, it's like you open it up. It's got that sort of like Nemesis system looking screen.
Yeah.
But like Liam was saying earlier, it's like Ghost Recon Wildlands.
Yeah.
And you just, I've got to take down this robot train conductor. You've got to take down 2 structures or something. By take down 2 structures, I don't mean shoot it down with cloud destructibility. I mean climb to the top of it and shoot 2 batteries off something.
Yeah.
That'll take the electric down, which will rile up the robot. And then every boss fight I've done, I've just homed in on the boss with my pistol, just like playing PvP. Completely ignored all the mobs. and just gone straight up with a pistol, won every single time.
It even says in the first instance of that, the game says, if you keep killing these robots, they'll keep coming because the bad boss guy is the one generating them.
Yeah.
So as soon as you hear that, you go, all right then. So you just run, and this is exactly what I did. I ran past probably like 20, 30 enemies and just focused on the boss. I triggered the boss cutscene and then focused on the boss.
It doesn't, for a game, as far as the beginning bits that I've played, I found two major problems with it, right? One, vehicles seem absolutely pointless. There's no point in them at all. Why play a game with a car when you can dash around on roofs and stuff? And two, it's also a game that maybe later on it does change it up, but I don't know, based on how long it took Liam to finish it, I don't know, maybe I'm halfway through it.
Yeah.
No real challenges have made me feel like any of my ridiculous abilities are a necessity. Like, I can just kind of strafe left to right with a pistol. I don't even need to be able to jump at all to be able to do half of these challenges, apart from climbing the buildings and stuff, but I'm sure I could find an elevator. When it comes to the fighting and the combat, like how I had to spin a Spider-Man at yours, and you were like near end game mopping up some challenges, and the amount of abilities and stuff there was, and that you have to be agile for certain things. With this, literally nearly every one I found could be taken down with either shooting a barrel with my pistol or shooting them with the pistol, and I didn't need to use any of my super cool stuff. It was just like the pistol, and that means that it kind of made the superhero power feel like a bit redundant. Yeah. And it's a game about that, so it didn't really do what I wanted. So I can't, I'm uninstalling it. I didn't pay anything for it, and I still somehow feel a bit.
Yeah. Well, to clarify, it's on Xbox One Game Pass, which is, I think, how we all played it, right?
Yeah.
£60 to buy an own.
£60 to buy, but yeah, it's on an Xbox Game Pass, which it's absolutely worth a spin if you're on the Game Pass, and it's not a huge download.
I was going to say,
it's very small.
It's not a big download,
and there's a chance that you might enjoy it, especially if you're a Crackdown fan. You've already thinking, but maybe if you missed the 360 generation, maybe if you really are a fan of Brooklyn Nine-Nine and Terry Crews, maybe you'll enjoy some of that.
Maybe if you finished Agents of Mayhem, which I think is also on the Game Pass, and you want something vaguely similar, then that'll probably be good for you.
Yeah, worth having a look if you're on a Game Pass, but it's difficult to recommend at a full price AAA game anyway.
I don't even think it's AAA. I wouldn't charge AAA price for it.
I don't actually know how much it costs.
It was 60. It's 60 to buy
full
now.
price,
full price.
Yeah, 40 I'd say maybe if you're a fan of it. But
well, that's Crackdown 3. Let us know what you think about it down in the comments if you've been playing it already. I mean, it's a really interesting sort of thing to look at in terms of how long it's been anticipated and how it's sort of panned out. So it'll be really interesting to hear what you've got to say. Remember to like if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you want to see more stuff like this. We've got a podcast every single week, which is full of sort of gaming news and topics and emails and all sort of good stuff. Check us out on Patreon if you want to support the channel and join the community and join us on Discord and stuff. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.